Welcome to the Sens Spotlight podcast, brought to you by the Sick Podcast Network. Before we get started, bet the beauties with Betway and scan the QR code on the screen or click on the link in the details section to create an account and download the app. Must be 19 plus. Please play responsibly. Betway is an official sponsor of your Ottawa Senators. Also for our YouTube gang and just for everyone. Don't forget to like and subscribe. That really helps out the show. And obviously last night, big late win from the Senators thanks to Drake Batherson, and we'll go all in on that with Pierre McGuire again. So hit it.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to the Sick Podcast. Sens Spotlight.
Here's Alfredsson, bursts the speed, gets a shot away, score! Daniel Alfredsson ends the game in overtime and sends the Ottawa Senators to the Stanley Cup Final for the first time in franchise history.
The sickest Ottawa Senators podcast. It's gonna be sick.
And we are joined by Pierre McGuire again. Just what were your initial thoughts from last night's game?
Courageous. You could see that Ottawa was prepared to play against Anaheim. They identified the strengths of the Anaheim Ducks. They also identified some of the weaknesses. I thought they did a really good job peppering Mrazek early on in the game. I thought Mrazek was really good. I'd like to see a little bit better transition defense. I think that's something that Coach Green will probably talk to them about before their next game in San Jose. I'll give you an example. Dylan Cousins turns a 3-on-3 into a 2-on-1 pretty fast on the Seneca goal, and that it can't happen. Not when you're playing against elite teams. I'm not saying Anaheim's an elite team, but they're an up-and-coming team. You do that against a team like Colorado, or you do that against a team like Vegas, or you do that against a team like Florida when they have all their players, or a team like Tampa when they have all their players. You're dead. Like, they'll bury that every time. So that's one thing. I thought Linus made some really good saves when he had to. I'm worried a little bit about the Montempallo injury. I don't know how severe that is, but, you're running out of bodies. But this is the thing that excited me the most about all of it. The Batherson goal, the key component is aggressive coaching. Zub's not on the ice.
I know.
It's Jordan Spence. And Spence gets an assist on the Sanderson shot on goal and the Batherson deflection. But I'm seeing this. I'm going, thank goodness. Like, it's great. Aggressive coaching in the offensive zone. It was good.
No, that's the one thing I really like about Travis Green is he really plays the matchups well in terms of, okay, like it's not like seeing Jordan Spence in an offensive zone face off with Jake Sanderson. He's done that a lot this year. And I thought that whole play and how that goal was created was so interesting. Icing. Okay, let's put out our big guys. We put out the Stützle line. Stützle, who actually had a bad face-off game, but has been so good this year, wins the face-off. It goes out to Spence. He keeps the puck in a way, like offensively, in a way that Artem Zub probably wouldn't. No shade to Artem Zub.
Yeah.
Puck goes around to Sanderson. Obviously, the goal, he shoots it on net and goes to Drake Batherson. But I just thought there was so many cool elements in that goal that really epitomized just coaching, the evolution of Tim Stützle, like the way Drake Batherson's playing, Jordan Spence being an offensive contributor. It was just a really cool goal, almost just from like the ins and outs of hockey.
And when we first started this show, Alex, we talked about who's going to take up the space that Brady Tkachuk takes up usually. And one of the guys we said was Drake Batherson. And look where Drake is, right where you would find Brady. Right where you would find Brady, especially at that time of the game. So hats off to Drake, by the way, who I think is – I know people still dwell on that play with Montreal Canadiens, and, it happens. Turnovers happen. It's okay. He's more than made up for it now. You know what I mean? Last night he more than made up for it. But I think he's really elevated his game, and I think that's really important. I love what you said about Stützle, by the way. I really – like – Timmy's really trying to make a difference every single time he's on the ice, and I really admire that about him.
He was so good last night. I know he didn't get it on the score sheet, but he was a force. And it's interesting about Batherson. Like, he had that terrible play against Montreal. He'd own up to it. He'd tell you the same thing. But there was a play I think it was in the first period, and Anaheim was on a 3-on-2, and he raced back poke the puck away from, and it was just a really good defensive play. And Batherson isn't known for his defensive aptitude, so it was really good to just. I thought he played a really strong game on both sides of the ice, and I think for the Sens, how important is it just to get that first win heading into a long road trip? They just got into Anaheim a couple days ago. They're still probably a bit jet lagged, getting accustomed to the time zone.
The best thing that's happening for this team right now, and I did a big dive this morning early on just to see if my eyes were telling me the true story. There's no back-to-backs on this trip. So it's into San Jose, it's into LA, it's into Vegas, it's into St. Louis, and then it's into Dallas. But there's always a day in between. That's really important, because here's the one thing that I don't think has been brought up yet. Last night, Stephen Halliday, 5:28 time on ice. Hayden Hodgson, 7:14. Nick Cousins, 8:06. When you have 3 forwards on a long trip playing less than 10 minutes a game, that means other guys are playing elevated minutes, 18 to 22 more times than not. And I don't want to get too heavy into the math and all that stuff, but as the trip goes on, if those numbers don't change from the lower part of the roster, we'll see they'll start to tail off, and guys will start to get hurt and nicked up, and the road trip will not be as successful as they want. So the good part is you have those extra days in between games, but they're going to have to find a way to get those other players into the lineup a little bit more.
It might also help when Brady Tkachuk comes back. I don't think you're gonna, everyone, as we've talked about before, everyone gets slot down, and I think, Travis Green, maybe we should talk about Stephen Halliday briefly, but it's funny. He the way Travis Green was playing him wasn't inspiring confidence in Halliday.
No.
At the same time, he goes on the power play, makes a really nifty play, finds Shane Pinto for that goal, which was a huge goal. Like the tides of the game are going all in Anaheim's way. It felt the Sens had that brief stretch in the second period where they hit like 3 posts in 3 minutes, right? And it was a big goal. He made a big play, and I thought he was fine. I don't think he did anything out of place outside, and a really nice pass. And he's definitely a playmaker more than a goal scorer. But just interesting, like outside of being on the power play and a few shifts here and there, he wasn't really on the ice. And at the same time, he got the much needed apple.
Yeah, that's why I'm bringing that up, because it wasn't just him; it's those 3 players. Cousins scored a beautiful goal too. But there was some divine intervention in that game too. I mean, the Pinto goal you're talking about, Mrazek makes a pretty good poke check, and the puck goes off of Pinto's stick, off his leg and into the net. The Cousins thing was Jensen making a pass across, but I think it was more of a deflection than it was a pass right to where Nick Cousins was. But you just made the great point, and I should have brought it up earlier. Ottawa had some chances, and they hit iron. They hit iron a lot. And so it shows you how it all balances out. I was really impressed by the fact that they're playing against a team that hadn't lost on home ice in their last 6 games. Anaheim's a good team right now, Alex. They're a really good team. They're a hard out. I thought Mrazek played really well for them. I thought Ullmark made some really good saves for Ottawa at key times in the game. But Ottawa showed a lot last night. I'm encouraged to start the trip that way. I'm really encouraged for them.
And I think they're, in that second period, as you alluded to, their rush defense wasn't really good for like maybe a 10-minute stretch, and they got burned on the 2 goals. But I thought outside of that stretch, they played really sound defensively against a really, we don't know where Anaheim's going to shake out in the standings. That's a hell of a talented team. Like you look at, there's guys who were drafted 5th, 6th, 2nd, 3rd, right? Like all on their, in their forward group. Like they're a really talented team. They're one of the best goal scoring teams in the league. First game on a long road trip. You've flown, 4 or 5 hours halfway across the North America, and you limit them to 2 goals. And that felt like the right number. It wasn't like Anaheim was really controlling the play, maybe in the second period and early parts of the third. But I think that was just a really, I don't know what you think about it, Pierre, but that's a win that good teams find a way to do, right?
Yes. Yeah. Well said by you. I agree with that. Alex, the one other thing too, I think that's really important. They had the best free agent signing Anaheim did in the offseason, and it was Joel Quenneville. And you see the way that team plays right now. They're full of confidence. Their confidence is brimming over the side of the cup. They feel so good about themselves right now. They're a hard team to play against because of what you alluded to. Look at the 2-on-1 with Kreider and the pass that he makes. When Chris Kreider was playing for the Rangers last year, he wasn't even trying to make that pass because his confidence had been shattered. So Quenneville's gone there, and he's taken Leo Carlson, he's taken Mason McTavish, and he's taken Troy Terry, and he's taken all these young guys, Nikita Nestorenko. He's taken all these young guys, and he's made them feel better about themselves. And look what it's doing. It's really amazing to watch. It truly is.
Yeah. And maybe keep it on the coaching theme a little bit. I think this Senators team is really starting to play the way Travis Green wants them to play defensively. Like, they've really limited teams. They're now getting they're not middle of the pack in goals against average, but they're getting closer to that. They haven't given up more than 5 or more than 4 goals in regulation in their last 8 or 9 games, right? Like, Allmark has an above 900 save percentage in 4 straight games. I think that's a lot because of the team in front of him. Like, that game last night, for the most part, was how Travis Green wants his team to play. Really tight checking, above the puck, really good defensively, and then getting their opportunities on the forecheck to create plays. And I think the Senators, I think Travis Green, there's always flaws and holes, but I think he feels really good about his team where it's at, especially without Brady Tkachuk.
Agree. But I'm going to bring up one other name. How good is Jake Sanderson?
Yeah.
You don't even have to know hockey, but if you tune in to watch, you know that he stands out.
Yeah.
I watched last night there were 12 games in the NHL. I didn't watch all of them start to finish, but I watched parts of all of them. Last night, Nathan McKinnon stood out. Cale Makar stood out. Those are players that really stood out big time. Ovechkin had a hat trick last night in Montreal. I worked the post game. He stood out because he's a scorer, but he didn't stand out like these other guys. Sanderson stood out last night with those upper echelon players. That's not easy to do. Every single game I watch Jake and I'm going, okay, that's something I didn't see before. That's something I didn't see before. So it's every game, it's something new. And the power, and I don't know if you agree, there's a Makar power element to his game right now. When you watch Cale play, he's got this ability to skate past the forechecker.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not so much because he's fast, he's just powerful. I'm watching Jake now.
Yeah.
And I know Jake's an elite skater, but there's a power presence to the way Jake skates that wasn't there a year ago or 2 years ago. And that's going to be awesome for Ottawa going forward. It's going to be really good.
It's like even Tim Stützle a little bit. You can almost feel they're just a bit stronger, a bit kind of set in their legs. Like their legs, like it feels like they have a little bit more of a oomph when they skate with the puck, right?
Yeah.
And I want to be careful with what I'm saying, and it's nothing derogatory, but I don't think Sanderson's. Let's just say he could have been dealing with a sickness of late.
Mm-hmm.
Just being around him in the room, I think he might have had a cold for the past little while, and he's still been really good. Yeah. And I think that shows how good he is, and also maybe he's getting out of that funk. Like I wouldn't have said that he was playing badly, but it felt like he had a little bit stretch of 5-6 games where it was like A instead of A plus. Like there's just I know what you mean.
So that's what I'm saying though. So that's why when I'm watching players like that, I try to compartmentalize the game. So what do I know that he does well? Well, he defends well. He walks the line well. He does this well. Like they're all everybody's got their little component that they do well. I'm watching, even when he's not like having an A+ game, there's certain things that he does in a game that I'm noticing now that are A+. He doesn't do them all the time because he doesn't have to. But it's pretty amazing when you compartmentalize just him, just him. You're like, whoa, this is really special. Like the upside for this player. It's a lot like Lane, and I know people love to do this. Lane Hudson versus Jake Sanderson. I get it. I totally get it. Mm-hmm. Lane Hudson's really good too, but Lane Hudson's not 6'2".
Yeah. Sanderson's maybe taller than that. I think.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like he's a big kid. He's a big Lane's not a big kid. Lane's just really good, but he's not big like Jake. That's the difference between the two of them.
For me, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but there's a certain element to Jake Sanderson where it's almost like his B game is so good. Like he makes so few mistakes. He's always in the right spot. He's a one-man exit. And if you have that shift after shift after shift, you just tilt the ice. You just have good breakouts. Suppress opportunities from the opponents at such a high level. And it's not something where it's like Lane Hudson or Cale Makar doing a spinorama in their own zone or doing some flashy thing. But over time, that leads to winning, right? And people talk about like, oh, who's the most important player? And obviously, Kachuk is an unbelievable player. He's the leader. He's the emotional leader. You want Brady Kachuk on your team. I think Jake Sanderson, if he goes out, that's the only player on the team where I'm like, okay, I don't know if they can kind of handle it in a sense, right? And obviously, you lose one of your best players, it's going to be really hard. And knock on wood, nothing happens to Jake Sanderson. But to me, in a sense, he's their most important player because he plays the most minutes. He is so consistent, right? You know what you're getting every night, and he's just such a force, especially on the defensive end. And with his breakout speed, he also leads the offense in transition. So, yeah, Jake Sanderson, hell of a player.
Well said. I don't have to say anymore. That was good.
Is there, what have you liked? Because I think I'm going to probably write about this for Sportsnet, but that Amadio Pinto Giroux line has just been unbelievable.
Good, really solid. It's not about points. They don't have to get points to influence the outcome of the game. Now, last night, obviously, on the power play, Shane scores again, which is great, but they don't need to get points. And Clody had a chance last night. I know he's probably ticked off at himself that he didn't capitalize on it, but he's made it. Clody's playing well in a very understated way. People, you have to be almost a hockey aficionado to see how he's influencing the outcome of some games, which is positive, not negative. And I think Amadio, I think the most improved player in the NHL is a kid named Ryan Shea, who plays for the Pittsburgh Penguins. He's a defenseman, plays on the left side. He's played unbelievable. I'm just telling you, like, you watch him 2 years ago and you watch him now, you're like, there's no way that's the same kid. It's not possible.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say Amadio's in the same category, but there's a certain element of trust that he has from the coaches that would say he might be. Because I'm not sure he was ever trusted in other markets before, like he has been in Ottawa. And I think that says a lot about him. I think it says a lot about Travis and that line. That line's been very good.
I think it's funny because that line, all three of those players are elite, like really smart hockey players. None of them are fast. None of them are crazy like Ditsy. They're not superstars in that sense. Claude Giroux probably was at one point, but they just really read the game so well. And just defensively, there's like no notes, as people say. Like they're in the right place at the right time. They make the right play. They make really good defense. Like how many times do you watch Michael Amadio and he just pokes a puck away from a guy? He stick checks a guy, gets the puck, clears it, and that can be the difference in, okay, Anaheim's going to circle in your end for a minute and they might get 2 or 3 decent looks versus, okay, we just neutralized like the Cutter Gauthier line, right?
I think an interesting study for you, because I know how good you are at this, would be, I'm going to plagiarize this, but I'm going to give him credit. Dan Bilesman, when he coached Pittsburgh, had a 7-second rule. And that means from the time the puck got inside your blue line, you had 7 seconds to defend and get it out. That was your So basically it was making guys really compress at the point of attack, get on the puck, take people off it, and move it out of the zone. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, did you get it or did you not? That's what I used to say, close. I did so many of their games. You'd be yelling, close, 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 find it, find it, find it. Those were his buzzwords. I think when you watch that line, and this is the exercise for you, Amadio, Pinto, and Giroux, they obviously have to have help from the defenseman, but I think they're pretty darn close. You do not see them have extended shifts in their zone. You just do not. Whereas other, like, no disrespect meant to Dylan Cousins, because he's done some really good things. He's done some not so good things, but he's a very competent player. he spends a lot of time in his own zone.
Yeah. Yeah.
He doesn't close very quickly.
No. It's
So,
I
it's a good exercise for you to do.
I really like Dylan Cousins as a person. I think he's been pretty decent so far. I thought he had actually a really good game outside of the screw up on the first Anaheim goal where he lost them in transition, as we mentioned earlier. But I was just doing a quick deep dive into just while you were talking about that Amadio line, and they start more so in the defensive end for faceoffs than they do in the offensive end.
Yep.
And they're right now, it might have changed overnight, but heading into yesterday, for combinations of forwards and defense that have played more than 100 minutes, they have the best expected goals percentage. That's amazing. But what's even more amazing about it is they play the McDavids, the Crosbys. Like, they're not going up against fourth liners and they're playing the best players in the world, and they're dominating them. And I find that like the most interesting stat of this.
Why do you think that is?
I think they're so smart that they, as you said, the 7-second rule, they're never in their end. There'll be a transition break for the other team. Okay, we'll neutralize it, go up, and then they're good enough offensively to hem teams in. Like, Pinto could have scored. They had a shift in that first period. Pinto and that line could have scored like 3 goals, and that Claude Giroux back pass in the third period almost made me cackle. It was amazing. He had like a full breakaway.
I'm not sure Travis was cackling, but that's
but Pinto almost scored.
No question. So, yeah, and if you go watch, there was a game last night. I'm not going to say the player, but he tried the same play, and it ended up going the other way, and it wasn't good for this team. But anyways, I'll just say this. They win faceoffs. That's really important. Shane does a good job. But Claude, if Shane gets tossed out, Claude's a great backup plan. So they're good there. Amadio's really good on the boards. He's really a good board player. So when you're a good board player, you can control the puck as well. Claude wins a lot, even though he's not super quick anymore. He used to be more quick than fast. He's obviously getting older, but that's okay. He's still got the brain. He closes on the forecheck really well. And watch his stick when he forechecks. His stick is a weapon in a good way, like not in a dirty way. And so they got all these little components to their game that's kind of like putting a puzzle together. And that allows them, to your point, to be where they are and do the things that they do. I find them a fascinating line. They didn't start the year together.
No.
And so the coach eventually figured out, okay, I got all these puzzle pieces. I got to get one really good puzzle to check the other team's best teams. And Travis, I think I told you the story when we first started doing this. And you should ask Travis. I will never forget. Travis played on a line with Brad Delgarno and Brian Mullen. And they were really, really important for Islander playoff runs back in the day. I'm telling you. Travis was a big part of it. But I see a little bit of that line in this line with Amadio and with Pinto and with Giroux. And I think Travis sees a lot of him in Pinto. I think so too. I think he does. I really believe that.
Yeah. I was just doing the mental math in my head because their first game they played was against Edmonton.
Okay.
That was 14 games ago. You want to guess how many regulation losses the Senators have had since then?
Regulation losses, not too many. I'm going to say 2.
Yep.
I was going through it.
No. You got it. You nailed it.
I was going through it in my brain. I'm like, okay, it was overtime. Okay, yeah, 2. I think it's 2.
And one was an LA game where they lost 1-0, right? Like which they could have easily. But
that game could have gone either. That game could have.
And I mean, there's probably games in there where they could have easily lost, like that Philadelphia game, the Boston game. But regardless, and I'm not saying it's all on the third line. But I think that third line has a huge reason why the team looked an absolute mess in their own zone for the first 6 games of the season. And they've looked quite the opposite since. And just an unbelievable trio. And it's I also, have you picked up on the thing where Giroux, every time he's dumping the puck in and he has a bit of time, he'll almost lob it so the puck will bounce in front of the goalie. And he had that goal.
I think it is a weapon for him, but I have noticed that a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Scored against Vegas like 3 years ago that way, and didn't even celebrate, which is a pretty big Claude Giroux, type of thing. Is there anything what do you think the Sens should do with you mentioned Monpolo earlier. If he's out, who do you go to? They recalled Lassie Thompson, who's I've heard has played pretty well in the AHL, but more of an offensive type of guy. They brought in Dennis Gilbert, over
Oh, I
last
know
week.
Dennis really well from when he played at Notre Dame. I know Lassie, who I'm very fond of. I like to be transparent when I come on your show. When Lassie was in Belleville, his first go around, I spent a lot of time down there working with Troy Mann, working with David Bell, working with Sexton, Ben Sexton, and the staff. Justin Peters was there as well, and trying to work with the staff, trying to help them, help work with the players. And I remember one time going out with Lassie for dinner. Actually, he was already at the restaurant, and I showed up there. It was in downtown Belleville. We had the nicest talk. And I said, you know what? When you have a person that's like that, like Lassie is, and I think you've probably spent some time with him. He's a really nice, he's a really, really good person. Those guys are receptive to coaching. They're receptive to people trying to help them because they don't know everything, and they know they don't know everything. And I always liked that about Lassie. I always did. And I have so much time for him. I'm glad he's giving it another opportunity. I know it's been rough. It's been really, but he can shoot the puck. He can transport the puck. He can make passes. I think this is just my own personal opinion. I think he needs to, what's the best way to describe it? He needs to understand how to close in the neutral zone without putting himself in trouble. But he needs, going back to that Dan Bilesman thing that I talked about from Pitt, he needs to close quicker in his own zone. Because when he doesn't, he runs around. He's always chasing. Identify your guy, identify where the puck is, and get to your guy and get to your landmark. He's got to work on that.
Yeah, I'm doing the permutations in my mind, and I'd rather try Lassie Thompson on the left side as a right shot guy because he's skilled enough to play with the puck than Dennis Gilbert. Dennis Gilbert probably a lovely guy, but
Dennis is a big hulking guy. Again, I know his work really well because I did a lot of Notre Dame games. That's what he is. He's just a big guy that gets in your way. That's a good thing too. That's not a bad thing. I'm watching the Washington Capitals last night play against the Montreal Canadiens. Washington Capitals win the game 8-4. Montreal is a fast team, and they, as you know, Alex, and they got a lot of skilled guys. But when you get those big hulking defensemen, whether it's Dennis McElrath, whether it's John Carlson, whether it's Faravari, whether it's Chikrin, like Washington's got hulking guy. Montreal couldn't get to the net.
Yeah,
can't get to the net. Gilbert's one of those guys. Like Clevin and Gilbert, they're hard to get to the net on. They're hard to get to.
I think Clevin's played really well of late. I thought he played excellent last night. But I have one thing that I wonder. You talked about at the open about the fourth line guys not playing a lot of minutes. I wonder if Manpalo's out against San Jose and Shabbat's on the road trip. I think he's going to return at some point. I don't think it's Saturday, but I don't think he's out for a month or anything like that. But I wonder if Travis goes 11-7. I wonder if he does that.
Remember, we've spoken about this before, right? I think it would be really wise to maybe do that, whether it's in San Jose or whether it's down in LA. One of the next two games, I think you go 11-7. And part of that, I think, is especially the injury thing that you're alluding to. But the other part is Halliday played 528. Hodgson played 714. Cousins played 806. So you're already making a statement. I'm not playing my fourth line very much. So get your stars on the ice. You don't think those guys would want that? They love that. Stars want that. I remember one time, this is a good story. Like we had so many good players in Pittsburgh. So many. It was ridiculous. And I remember I think we were in Detroit. Pretty sure we were in Detroit. We got blown out. We got crushed. And I didn't change the forwards. I changed the D. But I heard the forwards complaining because Scotty knew he had a game the next night, and he wanted to burn those bigger players out because it was wasted. We were going to lose anyways. We knew. I remember the guys complaining on the bench. Even though we were losing, they wanted to play. They wanted minutes.
Yeah.
This is a great story for your fans too, Alex. We had a line called the option line. John Cullen was a center. Kevin Stevens was a left winger. And Mark Recchi was a left shot. He was a right winger. And they would be on the bench together. They all loved, like, they wanted to play every other shift. They wanted to play 1 minute and 20-second shifts. Like, these guys were hockey addicts. They wanted to be on the ice all the time. It's a great story. You'll die laughing when I tell you. So their feet used to jump up and down on the bench really loud. And so Scotty said to me once, he goes, "What the hell is that? What are these guys doing?" I go, "They want to be on the ice." He said, "Oh, yeah, the stampeding elephants." So he
the elephant in the room. Yeah.
Sorted it all out, but they were amazing players for us. But that's it, to your point. These guys just wanted to be on the ice.
Speaking of stars, I wanted to just talk about this because I thought I'd be curious to get your perspective. I wrote a story for Sportsnet, and I talked to Daniel Alfredsson and Tim Stützle about Tim Stützle changing his stick tape in that game against Boston last month, and since then he has 8 goals in I think 12 games. He's like well over a point per game. And he said to me, Stützle said to me, like, if a Hall of Famer says, hey, maybe you should change something, he's probably right a lot of the time, right? And just talking to Alfredsson, and he had this interesting perspective about just how it would have been so much fun for him to play with Timmy, and that what he really respected with him was the fact that he does like to coach, that they have this kind of, they not go at each other, but it's like almost like, I know what you've been through, because I, like Alfredsson, I used to be a Hall of Famer. I used to be a star. So we have this like almost this weird connection. And I'm just curious, like from your vantage point, like how interesting and how important is it for the Senators to have Alfie in that coaching role for a guy like Stützle to kind of show him the ropes and have also that understanding of, hey, I've been there, I've done that too.
The mentorship aspect of Daniel's role is gigantic. And it's not just for Timmy. It's for Drake. It's for Kachuk. I was going to call him Keith. It's not for me. It's for Brady. I'm dating myself. It's for Dylan Cousins. It's for all those guys. So I've seen that happen a lot, the mentorship part of it, and it does matter. It matters a lot. I'll just show you how I recognized it. The late Brad McCrimmon played for us in Hartford, and we had drafted a 19-year-old player from Peterborough named Chris Pronger. And I remember going up to Beast, that was Brad's nickname, saying, "I need a favor from you. You get your own room on the road, and you also basically can pick whomever you want to play with because you're one of our leaders. I'd like you to play with Pronger, and I'd like you to be his roommate." So the best part of the story is he looks right at me. He's a farmer from Saskatchewan. He's a tough son of a gun. Old Beast was a tough guy. And I loved him. I just loved everything about him, the way he carried himself, the family guy that he was, the father that he was, the teammate that he was. He's kind of an extension of our coaching staff. So I said, "Brad, do you mind doing those things?" He looked right at me and he goes, "Nope, not at all. And here's what I can tell you. You made a good decision." I said, "Why is that?" He goes, "There's a guy in Boston named Bork. I broke him in. There's a guy in Philadelphia named Howe. I broke him in. There's a guy in Detroit named Lidstrom. I broke him in. So I think I can handle this Pronger guy okay." So mentorship does matter. And I recognized that early on, but I really recognized it when Brad presented that to me after I asked him to make some sacrifices. And it worked. If you were to ask Pronger, he'd tell you that McCrimmon had a huge influence on how he perceived his role within the confines of the team and his growth as a player in the game.
Yeah. And, I think Tim Stützle is one of the most dogged, determined athletes I've ever been around. Like he's competitive as they come, and he's, I don't want to say stubborn, but he has that kind of like, I need to win, I need to do it my way kind of thing. And it's got him to become one of the best players in the world. Yeah. But I don't know if anyone else on that coaching staff could have changed his mind on the tape.
No, I can assure you, Mike Yeo Mike was with us in training camp as a player in Hartford. He wasn't going to be changing Timmy Stützle's mind. Travis wasn't going to be changing Timmy Stützle's mind. And I think Ben Sexton wasn't going to be changing his mind. So, Daniel plays a role in that. That mentorship aspect that he brings is really important. I can tell you. And it doesn't mean he's going to be the guru that's going to be tactician, X and O's guy, because I don't think that's his thing. One of the best things that ever, I once asked Wayne Gretzky about something that he did in a game. He looked right at me and said, I couldn't tell you. I have no idea how I did it. I think all those really elite guys, they really don't understand. They're so good. They don't they just do it.
Yeah. No, it's interesting talking to Alfie. He said his favorite part of the coaching was that it's the skills stuff. And I think I mentioned where after a practice last week, he's like with Nick Jensen and they're talking about where to hold the blade of the stick. If you have your arms more separate, if you have them more close together, how to use the stick. And it's like those like really nuanced parts of the game that obviously he would know. And he's like a hockey lover. And I think he brings so much to the table, as all the coaches, but just that perspective of playing at that high level for so long.
I love that. And I agree. One of the things that I loved, again, with that Daniel, I was there his rookie year in Ottawa, and he was, won the rookie of the year. He was our hardest worker. He was receptive to every ideology that was presented to him, and he never complained. And those teams were tough. Like, there was not a lot going on there that was very good. I think I told you the story. I think the first 9 games that Hartford played against Ottawa, it was 9-0 for Hartford. I'm pretty sure that was the number. And we were just average. And I'm going to say I got to Ottawa, and where it really started to change, Randy Sexton and Ray Shero brought in Steve Duchesne. They brought in Randy Cunneyworth. They brought in Tommy Chorsky and then Marty Straka, and things started to change. And that helped Daniel a lot.
And I feel a little bit of a parallel here, right? You look at Amadio, Giroux, guys like that have come in and just been really good players. Maybe not as much for Timmy, but David Perron,
for
right?
The team, it's like Jensen. Okay, Jensen does a lot of really good stuff. He's 35 years old. He's been around a lot of good players. He played a lot of big games. Guys like that help. We had Gordy Roberts in Pittsburgh. Gordy was playing in the IHL in Peoria when Scotty Bowman found him. I am not kidding you. And Gordy ended up winning 2 Stanley Cups with us, and he signed a 3 or 4 year extension with the Boston Bruins after he was done with us. So those older guys matter. And Daniel's not doing it as a player anymore, but I'll tell you one thing, he's doing it as a coach, which helps a lot. That's that mentorship role we're talking about.
Yeah. It just feels like this team's just really evolved the last year. Like that win, the way they've been playing without Tkachuk, it feels like all the pieces are starting to mold together.
With all due respect, some of us were trying to do that a few years ago. We just weren't given the ability to do it.
Yeah. I don't know how to segue this, but I will say, if you guys had a bit more maybe money at your disposal, it might have helped if you were spending to the cap per se. That's my easy way to save grace with you, Pierre. Is there anything else before I let you go? That's just
I love doing this with you, Alex. Thanks so much for having me. So we've got a game coming up on
Saturday.
So I'll talk to you Sunday morning.
Yeah, there you go. Sens best start since 2016-17 through 20 games.
Didn't something good happen that year? Didn't they have a pretty
good run? I think so. It was
that
pretty
guy
good.
Kunitz ruined the party. That Kunitz guy.
Frick. It was funny.
You know what's scary about that? I was doing that game for NBC. I was right on the shooting line. I was standing right behind him when he shot the puck. I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like he launched it, but I could see
floater.
It was just an upper echelon floater. And I was like, oh my gosh, poor Ottawa. I felt terrible. I really did. I felt bad.
I mean, I don't know if they deserve to win that game or that series, but they would have won that Stanley Cup if they won that game. I will tell you that. They would have beaten Nashville.
They would have beaten Nashville.
Yeah. Oh, they're so close yet. It feels so long ago. But
right.
Pierre, thanks so much for taking the time and doing this. I will see you Sunday, and thanks again.
Thank you. Later.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Sens Spotlight on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.